So we might actually kick off, and just a reminder to everyone that we are recording this session. So if you have to duck out or you want to off to another meeting, you can certainly request this recording later and catch it up, or even share it with some of your friends and colleagues if they're interested in being part of the outdoors. So welcome everyone on this beautiful evening that we are all present in. Today we are going to talk to you about the outdoor industry. And can I first pay my respects to our Aboriginal ancestors from the lands in which we meet today. I come to you from Darug and Gurungai country, where for nearly 50 years we are trying to understand the essence of what they bring to their understanding of the land, their interpretation of the land, their care for the land, in which I have been on for, as I say, close to 50 years. But this is our playground, this is our office, and we love to understand more about it, and what better way to acknowledge our Aboriginal ancestors, both past, present and emerging, in understanding more about the outdoors. So can I just say, this is a really exciting industry, and for those that don't know much about it, there is immense opportunity in here, and I think COVID has paid us a little bit of gratitude to understanding the outdoors and what it can provide all of us. So with all of my panelists here today, we're going to give you a little bit of a touch on all the different areas that could be part of your future. But before we do that, I want to share with you a quick video which will give you a quick snapshot of what we'll cover tonight. So without further ado, there's a little bit of what you're going to hear about, as I say, and it is so diverse an industry, but every day is very different to the next, and you'll certainly hear that from our experienced panelists tonight. Now, you have the opportunity to also ask questions, so we can answer them for you. So there is a Q&A section where you can pop in your questions, or there's also a chat feature if you just want to make comment on what we're talking about, and all of that is certainly at your disposal for the whole evening. So before we actually kick on to the first panelist of the evening, I just wanted to thank, oops, and let me just go to the next screen instead of playing that video again. is introduce myself. So my name is Laurie Mode. I'm the CEO of Outdoors New South Wales and ACT. We are the peak body that drives all outdoor education and recreation businesses and individuals and organisations to do what they do best. We are looking to recruit lots more people into this industry because we expect this industry to grow and grow over the next definitely few years, if not decades to come. So I want to do a big thank you though to two incredible partners, and that is Study Work Grow, who you might know very well. If you are subscribed to their services, you'll be receiving their emails regularly and helping articulate some of the opportunities of your career that you could look at. But also to the New South Wales Government, and that is the Department of Education, for their support in driving this webinar to you all and providing opportunities that I know I didn't have when I was looking for my career, and this is a great opportunity for everyone that's sort of seeing what's before them and what they can partake in. So if the desk situation, the office situation is not for you, we're probably going to have a scenario for you here tonight. But can I ask Lucy to say a few words from Study Work Grow?
Hi everyone, I'm Lucy from Study Work Grow. I'd like to thank Laurie and the team at Outdoors New South Wales and ACT for inviting me here tonight. And I'd also like to thank the New South Wales Government for their support of Laurie's great event. So at Study Work Grow, we work with hundreds of schools and hundreds of thousands of students across Australia. And what we do is we connect students with fantastic opportunities from people like the businesses that you're going to hear from tonight. So I know it can be really tricky to work out what you want to do once school is over. You've got a lot to think about. There are so many options and it can be a bit overwhelming. So to make it a little bit easier, we suggest that you look to the things that you enjoy doing and are interested in as a starting place. And if you're here tonight, then it means you're probably into adventure and the outdoors. People who work in the outdoor sector are generally great with people because at the end of the day, most outdoor education, tourism or therapy businesses help other people connect with the outdoors. You'll also need to be a trustworthy person, and you'll probably need a working with children check as well as a first aid certificate or another qualification that means you're safe to work with people in the outdoors. The other essential trait that most people in the outdoor sector share is the love of the outdoors. You'll love getting outside and staying active and be prepared to do this as part of your job. The outdoor industry is a really great place to start your career. You've got a huge range of possible pathways to follow, and there are lots of opportunities to grow and expand your skills along the way. You don't need a degree to work in the outdoor sector, although there are multiple degree pathways out there if that's something you're interested in. And there are also a range of really great vet pathways to follow. And I know the outdoor sector, and I know you're going to hear tonight about some fantastic traineeships. So you can you can earn as you learn along the way. If at the end of this session you'd like to find out more, I'd encourage you to check out the Outdoors New South Wales and ACT website, and also head on over to Study Work Grow. We've got some great job spotlights about careers in the outdoor that you might find handy. Whichever pathway you choose, I wish you all the best with your decisions.
Thank you so much, Lucy. That's awesome. And again, thank you so much for your support with everything that we're doing in driving an understanding of what the outdoors can provide anyone that enters it. First of all, I'm going to introduce Richard Thornton. Now, he's the CEO of the Outdoor Education Group. I'll let him explain a little bit more about his side of the outdoors to you. So without further ado, Richard, would you like to kick off?
Oh, thanks, Laurie. I'm assuming you can hear me perfectly. Beautiful. So I want to tell you a little bit about the Outdoor Education Group to start off with, or OEG as we call ourselves. We're the largest provider of outdoor education across Australia. And we work doing journeys and expeditions, which you'll hear from some of the others about, but we also work in camps. And so that's what I'm going to talk about this evening. Now, we work with schools, and the clue's in our name, actually. Our middle name is education. So we work with schools across the country, and we work with about 40,000 students every year. So we're a pretty large organisation. We've got about 450 staff across the country, and about 100 of those are based in New South Wales. And we've got a couple of camps that are absolutely in New South Wales. So that's a little bit about that. Now, Laurie asked me to say a bit about me, which is not my favourite subject to talk about, but I'll tell you a little bit. I knew from when I was at school that I really wanted to be outdoors and work outdoors. But I initially thought that I would be an archaeologist, because that would be spend my time outdoors. But I discovered pretty quickly that it wasn't quite as exciting as discovering Egyptian tombs every weekend. There was a lot of sitting in holes digging very small amounts of soil and then drawing them and then doing the same again the next day. And I very quickly realised it wasn't the outdoors career I was after. And I I went and did the equivalent of a certificate for in the UK to train to work in the outdoors. And I learned lots. I got lots of skills and I got some qualifications, but really where I learned how to do my job was in my first year working at a camp, and I probably learned more in that time. Lucy said the people that we want to work in our industry are people, and that's absolutely what I discovered. There's lots of activity, but being able to deal with people is the absolute key skill that you need. And I discovered very quickly that working with young people is brilliant fun. It's always brilliant fun, but they don't always necessarily do what you expect them to do, or go where you expect them to, or when you ask them to go and get something, come back with exactly the right thing. So what you learn in those first years is how to deal with groups, how to manage groups, all the tactics that go alongside being a group leader, somebody who works with groups, and also to help them to learn from their experience, because that's really what outdoor education is about. It's about delivering an experience and helping young people to learn from that and find ways that they can take that back into school and into their futures. So that reviewing and activities, that's a whole lot.
I think we've just lost him. I'll just see if he comes back.
The chief executive of the Outdoor Education Group. And it's very difficult to explain what I do. And if you ask anybody who works at the Outdoor Education Group, they'll tell you that mostly I just swan around. So that's mostly my job now, is swanning around and talking to people. So it's still dealing with people, but in a slightly different way. And some of them still don't go where you expect them to. But that's a different story. So that's who I am. Really what I want to kind of talk to you about is what are camps. So really we talk mostly about hardtop camps, which is just accommodation really. They generally have roofs on that hardtop accommodation, but key things they have are beds, toilets, showers, the things that you would expect to find, and very often the food is cooked for you as well. So there's a kitchen and there's catering that goes alongside that, and the groups come to you at the camp. Now, the two folks that are on this picture, actually, they're not from a hardtop camp. They're from a camp which is all tented, but the food is still cooked for the group. So there's different approaches, there's different camps all around the country. And the job that you might do within that is probably as a group leader. So doing lots of activities. That might be bushwalking, it might be bushcraft, helping people to learn to light fires or build shelters or do a whole range of elements in that. There might be climbing and abseiling like this group are doing on the photograph here. There might be environmental. We do some cooking sessions and making pizzas, a whole range of different activities. We've got an indigenous site. There's all sorts of different things that go on at a camp, but they're mostly activity based. And activities in camps tend to be a little bit shorter, so often there'll be 4 or 5 sessions a day, so a couple of hours per session. And that might be one of those activities like climbing or abseiling, or it might be a cookery session. So the job that you would do as a group leader is actually to look after the group and to manage the induction of that group, show them where everything is at the start of their stay, and then support them and be there on every activity. So the two folks that you can see on this picture, the guy on the right is looking after the group. I assume he's looking at the group. He's also eating an apple. And so he will be with that group for the whole of that week and be with them for every activity. The guy on the left is the specialist activity instructor who's setting up the climbing and who will drop into multiple groups. So that's another role that fits into camps. The other roles that we have that go alongside is people who coordinate the whole group. So when a school arrives with maybe 4 or 5 groups, there's somebody who looks after the whole school and coordinates all of the group leaders and makes sure that everybody's in the right place at the right time. And there are people like managers for each camp. There's also all the catering, there's cleaning, there's maintenance, there's all sorts of different roles within a camp. And the next question there is, where are they? And the simple answer to that is they're everywhere in places you wouldn't necessarily expect. So some of them are in the city, some of them are up in the mountains, they might be coastal. There will be one probably not far away from where you live, and there will be others that are really, really remote. So camps are in all sorts of different places, and that sometimes relates to the type of work that they do. They might have an environmental bent, or they might do lots of bushwalking, and that means that they're in a specific place. But there are lots of camps around a whole different set of parts of the country. And the length of their programs is, again, really varied. So a school may bring their year threes, and they might just come for half a day, or they might come at year four for a whole day, and then they'll come the next year for a day and a night, or 2 days and a night. And the most type of length that we have is generally 3 days and 2 nights, although other groups will come for 5 days or 6 days. So there's a range of different types of program. And then the ways to get into it, and there's things you can do now to really start to find out about the industry and maybe start to work within it. Get involved with outdoor education at your school. If there are scouts or guys or other volunteer organisations that work in the outdoors, you can volunteer or get involved with those now. There are opportunities for volunteering. You can go and do a week's work experience at a camp, or even perhaps go along as an assistant alongside the group leaders there. The first sort of formal way to get in is a traineeship. And for me, this is a brilliant way to enter the industry. You'll get paid whilst you're learning, whilst you're working, and you'll gain qualifications as you go, just like a TAFE. So most of the traineeships, they either come with a Certificate 3 or a Certificate 4 as part of that experience. And the thing for me that is brilliant about a traineeship, you not only get qualified, but you get lots and lots of experience. If you imagine you're working with maybe 2 groups a week, you're working with hundreds and hundreds of people over any year, and they all come in different shapes and sizes with different needs and different challenges, and that keeps the work really, for me, really, really interesting, and that's where you gain your experience. But another more formal route, maybe to go to a TAFE and do a Certificate 3, a 4, or a diploma, and there is a degree route as well, and there are lots of different degrees that you can choose from. All of those programs are taught. So there's lots of practical elements to each of those programs, whether it's a degree or a TAFE-based program. You'll spend time in the outdoors, you'll learn lots as you do it. So it's not desk-based learning, there's a lot of practical experience that goes with that as well. And then within a camp and within other parts of the industry, there are lots of other roles as well. If you're just interested in being part of the industry, there's catering roles, finance people, there's a whole system of support and equipment that sits behind every camp and every organisation that delivers in the outdoors. And the last bit from me, Laurie, is what that journey looks like. So one of the things that is essential, and we call it outdoor essential practice at OEG, but it's about learning the group skills. So those are not necessarily the skills of the technical skills of being able to tie knots, but the skills of learning to work with people. We look at those across 5 different levels. So you can join our organisation, and the other organisations we'll talk about as traineeships or as a trainee. Or you can enter directly at level 1 as a group leader with a Certificate 3 or 4. If you've got lots of experience and a degree, you may come in at a more senior level. And if you've got higher qualifications, you can enter maybe as a trainer, and different routes to get into the organisation. So that's it from me. I'll let somebody else talk for a little bit, and then you can ask some questions. Thank you.
Cool. Thank you so much, Richard. That's great. And just a reminder that you're welcome to put anything into the Q&A, and we'll monitor that as we go. And yes, thank you to Dan for that comment. There is some great pathways in your current school system. So whether you're in New South Wales or ACT, you can actually opt to do a Cert 2 in some of the courses that you do at school. So talk to your careers advisor or your school and see what's open for you if you're at that stage of your schooling, and look at that. The next person I'm going to introduce is Brian. Now, Brian's from YouthWorks, and I'm going to hand over to Brian and he can tell us all about himself.
Thank you. My name is Brian from YouthWorks Christian Outdoor Education. YouthWorks Christian Outdoor Education, or YouthWorks COE, we've been running camps for young people since 1956 and been working with schools in camps since 1985. So we've been doing it a long time. The success of our programs, it's not built on the design of the programs, but rather on the team who are passionate about working with kids and sharing the message of Christ. Because of this, we believe in careers, not seasons. Our staff are permanent and have on average been in the industry for 4+ years. We're a registered training organisation, which means that when you start with us in your 18-month traineeship, we will pay you full-time while you train, while you get real on-the-ground experience. We deliver on a broad range of programs, similar to what Richard was speaking to, whether it be centre-based or hard-top programs at one of our 3 main centres, or journey-based programs, which is kind of what I focus on a little bit. So, like I said, I'm Brian Litchie. I'm the Program Manager at YouthWorks COE. I've been working in the outdoor ed industry now for about 12 years and currently am not looking to move anywhere else. I'm thoroughly enjoying it. I started out as a trainee, similarly to Richard. After earning my qualifications, moved on to a guide. I then was a team leader of one of our Blue Mountain sites, then our port hacking site, kind of rolled my way into looking after our Duke of Ed programs, and then finally now as the program manager. And like I said, as a program manager, I look after the programs that exist outside of our 3 main centres, so outside of hard-top or centre-based programs. So I look after our journey-based programs. Now, what are journey-based programs? The simplest definition of a journey-based program, it's a physical journey where you will lead a group from point A to point B, whether it be hiking, canoeing, biking, away from centres, away from those hard tops. More than likely, like Richard said, you'll be intense. And the photo you see here is one of our bronze Duke of Ed hikes on the coast track. That's the simplest definition, but a journey-based program is so much more than that. To be cliched, we believe that the journey is more than just a physical act of point A to point B, but the growth that our students achieve while on those programs, as well as the growth that you will gain leading them through those challenges. Different to centre-based programs, different to hard-top-based programs, journey-based programs help the students step back and remove themselves from the normal and adventure out of their element in a safe and growth-focused way. We believe that the journey-based programs provide kind of that needed space and honest platform for reflection that may not occur during hard-top or centre-based programs and may not occur during kind of the comforts of home. Because of this belief, journey-based programs can happen anywhere, whether big or small, they happen everywhere. So you might find yourself leading kind of a group of 15 Year 9 students on the coast track in the Royal National Park. You might find yourself leading your own group of 15 students as part of a group of 100 students in the city as you journey through kind of the social justice issues affecting Sydney's vulnerable members of society, or even leading a 5-day expedition with canoeing and biking and hiking and abseiling and canyoning in Brindabella down in Canberra, camping out each night with the group, sharing in the adventure experience each day. While on a journey-based program, you as the guide or as a leader will simply lead the group. It's kind of as simple as that. This means that you, along with a teacher who usually is there with the group, will be in charge of the safety and the growth of the group. Now, you won't be thrown in the deep end. You'll be trained kind of in your ability to do dynamic risk management while being able to focus on the aims and objectives of the group and the journey. More than this, we believe that you will be expected to share in the journey with the group, which means that you'll be able to pull learning experiences from each moment and help each individual grow, whether it be kind of that tough slog up the hill during the hike or just enjoying a laugh at the end of the day. You'll be there sharing that experience with the group, caring for the group and helping the group grow through those moments. You will also grow. You'll grow in your ability to lead. You grow in your ability to care for individuals and for groups. And at no point will you be thrown in the deep end. Your YouthWorks Christian Outdoor Education career journey, if we just start from kind of your traineeship, starts with an 18-month traineeship. Like I said, you'll earn your Certificate 3 in Outdoor Leadership while being paid, while getting real on-the-ground experience. And in earning your certificate, you'll start off on hardtop center-based programs. You'll have the opportunity to lead and to grow in your skills, learn how to care for others and associate kind of risks and how you care for the group with those risks. And at the same time, you'll do journey-based programs. You'll learn from guides who have been doing it for longer, who are more experienced from you. And like I said, you're not going to be thrown in the deep end. And once you've earned your certificate, you'll have the opportunity to lead your own journeys. Before each journey, you'll have the opportunity to recce those journeys, to see the area, to understand the route, to make sure you're familiar with the area, make sure you're familiar with the risks involved, and the learning opportunities that you can glean along the way. I hope you can see that kind of at no point during a journey-based program will you be thrown in the deep end. We believe at YouthWorks COE that the community of our teams and the growth of our guides during each step of their individual journey is just as important as delivering the journey. Now, what can you do now? Richard touched on a few key points. You can foster a genuine love for the outdoors and a desire to share God's message through creation for us. You can work towards your Certificate 2, whether it be through TAFE, whether it be through school. It's a fantastic step in the right direction to acquire those skills and move yourself along that journey. You can apply for our traineeship. Our upcoming intake is coming soon. YouthWorksCOE.net is kind of where you go for that. If you have your Cert 3 already and you're looking to do more, Certificate 4 pathways, whether it be with us or with other organizations, is a fantastic opportunity to continue to grow, to continue to learn, and continue to lead. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for allowing me to share. It's a pleasure and it's an honor to share kind of our journey. And hopefully it inspires your journey. Thank you.
Awesome, Brian. Thank you so much. And that's a little bit of a different area of the outdoors that you've explored there. So really worthwhile discussing that option. And I must say to the panelists, feel free to answer the questions as they come in. There's a great questionnaire, and thank you, Lucy, for jumping in there as well. If any of the panelists would like to add to that, please feel free. Yep, Brendan is a career changer, and Brendan, no matter what age, we have all ages in our industry and all experiences, and really what people have discovered when they come into the outdoors is a true real work life, what should I say, molding or balance. I'm not too sure which, but yeah, it's something that everyone loves to be part of. So Jemima, I'm going to call you up next. This takes us into another different area. And if people are interested in tourism, this is where the outdoors combines with tourism. So Jemima, jump in and tell us a little bit more about Coast Life.
Thank you so much, Laurie. I hope you can hear me okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Jemima. I'm joining you from Wurundjeri country in the beautiful Dandenong Ranges in Victoria. A quick thank you to Outdoors New South Wales and ACT, Study Work Grow, and obviously Department of Education for New South Wales to give us this opportunity today. As Laurie just said, I'm going to be talking to you about the adventure or tourism section of the sector in that sort of career space. I'll be hopefully just quickly touching base on a few current pathways and opportunities that exist, not only with Coast Life Adventures, which is the business that I manage and run, but also throughout other adventure and tourism businesses across New South Wales and the rest of Australia. I'll also sort of showcase some of the amazing opportunities that are available through businesses such as Coast Life, that you could potentially really start getting into activities and things that you really love, get a career in something that you love to do without that old stigma of it's not a real job. Believe you me, it is such a huge, exciting growth industry. There's a multitude of opportunities, and diversity is really the key for our sector, which is really exciting. A bit about me really quickly. Like Richard, it's a the part that I normally skip a bit, I did not come into the outdoor tourism sector through normal pathways. At school, I had no idea what I wanted to do for a very long time. I started off as a secondary school student in customer service, and then after school I decided to do some further education and got a couple of degrees in business management and tourism management while studying over in the UK. I then entered roles and careers such as international travel agency, luxury wholesale destination travel, and then moved into managing an international client portfolio for a large international expedition company, and then even going sideways and working in a registered training organisation. So I've had a really varied and diverse background before taking over the managing director role at Bindery Outdoor Education, which is the sort of parent company to Coast Life Adventures, and we've been operating in New South Wales and Victoria for over 32 years. We basically exist to create these positive experiences through the connection with nature, which I think all businesses you'll hear from today representing our sector, like Laurie said before, have that huge connection with nature, connection with people, and join the two together to deliver these amazing amazing jobs and amazing outcomes for our clients. With the tourism adventure section, Laurie, if you could go back one slide, sorry, I was a bit slower than normal. I just wanted to take you through really quickly some outdoor or tourism sector jobs that you might be able to come across sooner rather than later. There's a whole magnitude of them, but I'll tell you the ones that I suppose Coast Life Adventures dabble in the day-to-day. So we need surf coaches, we need surf assistants, we need stand-up paddleboard guides, we need snorkeling instructors, we need swim activity supervisors, river guides, walking guides, group facilitators. We need gear hands back in our shed. So anyone that loves technical gear and adventure equipment, that's definitely a career pathway for you as well. We've got cooks, we've got kitchen hands. The list just goes on and on and on, depending on the season and depending on the tourism season at the time, if it's alpine or if it's a bike season or if it's sort of coastal surfing sort of and ocean-based activities that we're looking at the time. In New South Wales for Coast Life, we're heavily ocean-based compared to our Victorian and other state operations. But other, again, tourism activities that you can get involved in and have a huge, I suppose, availability of jobs, roles and career pathways includes like bike guiding, ski instructors. It's all part of the same activity sector, and there is year-round employment in all of those, with the only one being really seasonal would be that ski instructor portfolio, but then you can use those same skills to pick up work in the off season. With your experience and qualifications, I'll run you through, because there's actually quite a few things that if you guys were interested in either transitioning into a career in outdoor tourism or outdoor education, or you're looking at building up your qualifications now, there's plenty of ways to get started. You definitely don't have to wait till you finish school. Any ocean-based jobs, you really need to start by gaining an OSSA, OSSA, which is the Ocean Safety Surfer Award, and you can start that through what's called a polar program, and you can start that from year or age 11 and up. So that's where you gain, you know, that competency in watercraft, whether it's surfing or supping, and you get taught about coastal environments, hazard identification, aquatic rescue, first aid, etc. So any of our ocean-based activities, we start with that qualification. So that's the OSSA, OSSA. You can then, if you wanted to specialise in snorkeling, you can get a surfing qualification, or a snorkel qualification, snorkel guide certificate. For surfing, if you wanted to be a surf coach, if you loved surfing but you wanted to take it that next level and start getting your surf coach qualifications, then you'd be looking at the Ocean Safety Surf Coach Program, or the OSCA. So they've all got very similar names, so it gets quite confusing, but we can always send out more information if you want to learn more. And that's when you are able to guide groups, take and lead and instruct in a surfing capacity. You can get snorkel training guides. You can also get your foundation SUP coach course. So like our ocean-based activities, if you wanted to do any land-based activities that are also really popular during tourism season, especially at all those holiday destinations, we're based in around Tathra and Callaroo and Pambula, so it's a huge tourism sort of destination. And so there's lots of activities that our qualified instructors and staff have, and it just depends what activities you love as to where we would guide you to get the right skills and qualifications and experience as you emerge sort of into the sector and find your sort of career pathway. Again, it's a very diverse sector, but you can either specialize in one thing, or you can really get a mix, a good, really varied skill set, so that you're versatile in your prospects and how many jobs and shifts, etc. you can pick up. Guiding, we're very similar to the journey-based sector, and also the hard top sector that Richard and Brian spoke about. We hire people with a minimum of a certificate 4 in outdoor recreational leadership. If you wanted to go on and get your diploma or a degree in outdoor recreation and leadership, we highly encourage that, and we even support our staff by going through and getting further qualifications, just to bolster, I suppose, the professionalism and everything. It just addresses our needs as a business. The other thing you can get now that you wouldn't have to wait for, I suppose, is starting to familiarise yourself and achieve any levels of first aid qualifications, from your CPR to your basic sort of level 2 first aid. So they're definitely things that could help you get your foot in the door to start taking on these kind of jobs sooner rather than later. The other thing with any ocean-based career path, or getting you in there, are other ocean-based qualifications, your surf bronze, your bronze medallion, your rescue certificates. They're all things that you would need to go into sort of your surf coaching or SUP guiding, etc. How I'd recommend to get involved is to get out there and get experience. We have got traineeships, we've got intern positions, we've got casual jobs, we've got, the most of us are full-time and part-time positions, but we've definitely got a fantastic casual staffing pool as well. My recommendation to you guys would be to get involved with your local activity companies, to organise work experience with us whilst you're at school. Volunteer at local camps, to give it a go, volunteer for a day just to see what the day-to-day life at a camp or at a tourism sort of venue organisation such as Coast Life is like. But above and beyond, get out there and do what you love doing. So if you're a surfer, keep on surfing. If you love bike riding, get on your bike every weekend. If you love supping, if you're on holidays and you want to try these activities for the first time, get out there and give it a go. And the more you practice, the more experience you rack up. And another good way into our sector is recognised prior learning and life experience. So we have a lot of people coming from other industries, whether it's teaching or people that are accountants that have been in Scouts for years, and we also look at previous experience and education as to how to map you in to the sector and train you up wherever we need to. Get out there if you can, get those early quals like your surf life saving, your swimming quals through your local schools, and look at traineeships that are on offer through businesses like Coast Life, OEG, etc. There are so many outdoor businesses in New South Wales that offer traineeships, and like everyone said tonight, it's a fantastic way of getting paid really well and supported through your education. You get a really solid base, and you get exposure to a whole lot of different activities you might not be able to get through other employment opportunities. Any career in an outdoor sector, whether it's tourism or hardtop base, is just filled with opportunities. It's amazing what doors open up. And the jobs we find, our staff often say just how meaningful and impactful a job through the outdoor sector can be. And last but not least, I just have a little bit of a video to show you, but thank you so much for your time today. Laurie, if we can.
Wow, Jemima, do we need to remind them that they get paid doing that?
That's one of the benefits, Laurie. You also get paid for doing what you love.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jemima. Now, our last guest speaker adds a little bit of a spin to the outdoors. So if you've been contemplating potentially a science or health or something like that, when it comes to your interest in the outdoors, boy, have we got the solution for you. So, Becky, I'm going to hand over to you, and I'm going to get you to talk about therapy in the outdoors.
Thanks, Laurie. So I'm joining you from Dharawal country, where I'm currently living, but I grew up in Jabbergo country, which is up in Far North Queensland. A little about me. I grew up very immersed in the bush. It was always a very important part of my life. And I did Duke of Ed at school as well. And after that, I studied psychology at uni. I was about 20 when I finished uni. I really wanted to help people, but I also really wanted an adventure. And I'd been to a presentation a bit like this one. So I thought I'd explore the outdoor industry for a little while. And I took up an internship in an environmental education camp in the US while I worked out what I wanted to do next. 15 years later, I'm still in the sector, and I think what's kept me around in this space has been just the most incredible people that I've been able to interact with and get to interact with on a daily basis, and also just how important the work feels. I was able to continue studying a bit more in the field of psychology and also teaching while I was working as well, and now I have a little baby. So my day, for now, my work days are mostly spent at a desk, but still every day is different, and I still get to work with wonderful people. I've actually worked at the Outdoor Education Group, so the organisation that Richard is the CEO of, for the past 10 years or so, and it's been just an incredible professional and personal journey of growth for me. I've learnt so many skills that are relevant in this space, but also in other sectors and other parts of my life. My current role is to be a part of that support system that Richard mentioned. So at the moment, I support the people and culture team. And I also am the volunteer chair of ABAT, which is the Australian Association of Bush Adventure Therapy. And that's what I'm going to speak to you about today. That's the hat that I'm wearing. So ABAT is a national association for people and organisations that use the outdoors to support people's health. So as you might imagine, that's quite a broad umbrella, and we have a really diverse and wonderful community there. Thanks, Laurie. So Bush adventure therapy. Oh, Laura, can you go back one? So bush adventure therapy is about using the outdoors for the specific purpose of therapy. So it kind of covers the middle ground between the outdoor recreation and education and tourism, which the other panelists spoke about, and also bridges that gap with traditional therapies that you might find in a hospital setting or a doctor's office or a psychologist's space.
And now Becky freezes. We had Richard freeze earlier, now we've got Becky.
Therapy, which you might have heard overseas in the US mostly. And that's because in Australia we acknowledge that the Indigenous folks who have lived here for tens, maybe hundreds of thousands of years have always lived on this land, so it's not really wilderness. And that's sort of at the heart of what ABAT is about as well, is bringing those Indigenous practitioners to the forefront and learning from them about how to work on the land and work with that knowledge. Go ahead, Laurie, thanks.
Nice.
So this is a little bit of a video. I really strongly believe that all high quality outdoor education, whether it's in a camp setting or an expedition, has therapeutic value, so it can really positively impact people's physical and mental well-being. This video shows a few more specific ways that being outside can impact health in a therapeutic way.
What a great video, Vicky.
Yeah, I like that one too. It's sort of, it's good advice really for everyone. Just get outside.
Absolutely.
So now I'm going to introduce you to 4 folks who are part of our ABAT community and show you what bush adventure therapy looks like for them on a day-to-day basis. So first we've got Uncle Ken Jones, who's a Bowendick elder in South Australia. For many years, Uncle Ken was a commercial fisherman, and he is our South Australian rep at ABAT, and he's really at the heart of our bush adventure therapy community. Ken is an incredible storyteller and a keeper of a huge amount of Aboriginal as well as scientific knowledge. And he uses this to support and consult all over Australia with conservation work. So you can see in this photo, here he is earlier this year with Costa Georgiadis of Gardening Australia, who's also a really big advocate for ABAT and actually just finished emceeing an event we had today and yesterday. So Uncle Ken has his own property and he works from that delivering outdoor experiences and therapeutic experiences. He's also worked at a university as an Aboriginal health academic, and he's also taken his knowledge and experience into prisons to work with inmates. So that's Uncle Ken. This is Lani. So Lani comes from a youth work and a social work background, and she worked with a program called Regenerate. Regenerate provided bush adventure therapy to women and children who are survivors of family violence. So this is an example. So that this group met in a local park, maybe 1 or 2 hours a week for the most part. And I guess it's an example that the meaning of adventure can have different contexts for different people. So for folks who are dealing with family violence at home, going to a local park can be a big adventure, can be right out of the comfort zone, and they don't have to be climbing up, you know, a huge mountain somewhere for that to be bush adventure therapy. Next slide, please, Larry. This is Mark. Mark's the deputy chair at ABAT, and he's also a serving police officer. Mark runs a bush adventure therapy program from within a school, and his goal is to help the young people he works with keep on track throughout high school and finish high school with some experiences and potentially a certificate too, which is the pathway that Dan mentioned in the comments earlier. And he works with these young people and teaches them how to plan and run their own trips. And they've actually just done an incredible trip up to the tip of Cape York Peninsula and finished at the Aboriginal Laura Dance Festival, which is a pretty special opportunity and was pretty, from what I've heard, really life-changing for those young people, which is really exciting. Next one, please, Laurie. And this is Kylie. So Kylie is a psychologist. She practices equine therapy. So she and her 3 horses and her dog all work together in an outdoor setting to break down some of the barriers that people might often find in a 4-wheeled therapy situation, and offer sort of a different way of approaching healing to what you might find in a typical psychologist's office. So those are just 4 examples of where people are coming from, different pathways to be bush adventure therapists, and they're all folks who are really representative of our sector. So as you might imagine, based on those 4 stories, there isn't really one clear pathway to working in this area. You could get qualifications from both the outdoor rec education skills side and the therapeutic skills side, or you could have one set of qualifications and skills and then work as part of a team that provides the other skills. So you don't necessarily have to have all of these qualifications across the board to work in this space, but you would start to want to build skills across both of those spaces. So on the blue side, this is what Richard, Jemima, Brian would have already mentioned or have already mentioned, skills in outdoor recreation and education. And on the red side, that would be potentially a counselling degree or certificate, social work degree, psychology, occupational therapy, anything that can benefit from being taken outdoors, which is really most things. As you can see, the bush adventure therapy skills is a dotted line down the bottom there, because there aren't actually any currently any specific accredited degrees or vet courses for bush adventure therapy, but there may be one developing sort of at the master's level, so you'd probably still be wanting to start with these foundation skills anyway. So where to start? Richard, Jemima and Brian suggested some great options already, and I'd say especially what Jemima suggested, do what you love doing. That's always really good advice. I think in addition to that, explore the opportunities that you might have within your school environment. So a lot of schools these days have well-being programs, positive psychology, PERMA, mindfulness programs at school. And what they're actually teaching you are really helpful foundations for learning about therapy and learning about how to help others and take care of yourself as well. A big part of therapy is self-care, and also therapy and being outdoors both require awareness and attention skills. So you can start now by learning what you need in your life to keep you balanced and to help you thrive. And just remembering that self-care, those self-care skills are a really important part of life for anyone, but especially for someone who wants to help others. And even if you're not planning to be a therapist, self-care practices are really important to learn just in order to lead a healthy life. So they're worth exploring anyway. Finally, if you're interested, you can also join the ABAT email list, and that will tell you more about our conferences and events.
Awesome. Thank you, Becky. And unfortunately, missed the conference, which was only the last couple of days, but there is some fabulous events that ABAT hold. And if you're wanting to either receive these presentations or understand a little bit more about what we do in the outdoors, you can scan that QR code, because I think everyone's used to scanning QR codes now, and that will give you the opportunity to enter your details. We'll make sure we keep you, we'll give you all the information that you want to understand how you could be part of the outdoors. So feel free to do that, and we'll share extra information. There's been lots of questions and answers going, which is so good. And yes, as we said, this is recorded, so we will be sharing this with you in a link following this session. But if there's any more last minute questions there is one for you guys. What sort of hours of the week do people work? Do they work at day, night, or weekends? Who would like to take that question? Go on, Richard. Oh, you go to one.
No, go to one. You do that first.
With the tourism season, we work 7 days a week, depending on the season and I suppose, yeah, the seasonality. It's all during daylight hours for us. Obviously, we need to see the conditions that we're working in, but there's a lot of flexibility in any casual positions, and even in our full-time, part-time, we're really flexible with the hours, because we basically adapt to suit conditions, as long as that also suits our staff as well. So you can model it around what suits an individual, you as an individual as well. If you really love that weekend work, or you prefer to do the 9 to 5, there is all those options available in the tourism sector.
Wonderful, thank you. Richard, do you have anything more to add to that one?
Yeah, I mean, again, it's not a simple answer, but especially on sort of expeditions and journeys, then you are away with the group, so you are away from home for often 5 or 10 days at a time. So that kind of answers that one. I think camps often have a much more sort of family-friendly approach to work, so you can do just days or the occasional night, and it is more flexible in terms of work. And our work is often Monday to Friday, but other camps are open 7 days a week. So it can be varied, but I would say in sort of journeys and expeditions, the hours tend to be longer, and they tend to be away, whereas camps, if you're living near a camp as well, you can have a much more flexible approach to work, depending on who you're working for.
Amazing, thank you. And just one last one. I know a lot have been answered already, but I'm really intrigued to get some other people's responses. I know Jemima's responded to it. Is it possible to get a career outdoor without teaching others? What other opportunities are there around not leading or teaching? Tim McCartney's snake comes to mind, but does anyone else have any discussion on that one? No? Okay. Did you want to say something, Richard?
I was just going to look at what Jemima's answer. I guess my answer would be that there's definitely working one-to-one with people rather than with groups. But that does tend to be more specialised and higher skilled work, so sort of mountain guide work or guiding individuals or families. So there is that sort of work. Yeah, I think those people are not, I've worked with some people in the past who've gone on to have careers just climbing mountains, but I think you need to be good at other things alongside that in terms of promoting yourself or having a way of generating income, whether that's speaking about the things that you've done as well.
Yeah.
So it's not as straightforward, but there are definitely ways of making a career out of doing those sorts of things.
Amazing, thank you. And I think the opening is still there for an Australian Bear Grylls, isn't there? We haven't quite got our Bear Grylls in Australia just yet. But
we have the crocodile hunter, surely.
Oh, we've got a crocodile hunter, of course we do. Fabulous, guys. Well, as I say, scan that QR code. We'll keep you in touch with opportunities, adverts of jobs, all different sorts of things if you want to stay connected to the outdoor as an option for your career, whether it be a career change or coming out of school or coming out of university. Wherever you are, we've got something for you. So thank you very much for joining us this evening. Thank you to Lucy again for all your support. And Sharon, I know you're there, but thank you to the New South Wales Government and Department of Ed for helping us bring this opportunity to our career finders and seekers of today. Have a great night, everyone. Hopefully we'll see you.
Thank you, Laurie. Thanks for organising this.
Thank you,
Pleasure.
guys.
Laurie, thanks.
Thanks all.